For 2 years, I thought I was waiting for my universities to answer me, but apparently I was waiting for someone else to do their own job until I decided that enough is enough. After I decided to move to Thailand, I wanted to apply for the universities as soon as possible because I already had waited for 2 years and I didn't want to waste any more time. On May 1st, 2025, the applications would be started and I asked my agent to apply for me to the universities as soon as the universities would accept applications. I even made sure of that by going after documents, renewing the translates, and also making sure that everything is perfect and ready for them to just apply for me. So on May 1st, I knew that they would apply for me and I was relaxed and I was just waiting for them to do their job. But honestly, when I say I was relaxed, I wasn't that relaxed. I was afraid of wasting more time and not getting to the result I wanted. Even though I knew that I would get to that university, but deep down in my heart, I was like, what if I would do it by myself? But I was scared to do it myself. And that was even why I made the contract with my agent in the first place and I let them do the applying and stuff like that. So when the applications period began, I thought that they would do their own job. The very next day, I called them casually to see if they applied for me or how it went and if they need anything else. I called them multiple times, but they didn't pick up the phone. But again, I decided to give them a little time because it was still early and I still had the time. So I gave them the benefit of the doubt and I waited a little longer. A day after that, I called them again and again they didn't pick up. I was getting mad at that point, but before I do anything, they called me back and they apologized and everything. Even though I was a little mad, but I still needed answer, so I asked them that if they applied for me or not, but the answer that they gave me really pissed me off. They told me that they couldn't apply for me, not because they have tried, but because they were busy. It was like they were insulting me. Because by telling me that they were busy and they couldn't apply for me because of that, they were telling me that my case wasn't that important to them than whatever else they were doing. Which made me realize that why were I even waiting for 2 years? Because I were never their priority and they were always busy doing something else. And I trusted them too much to realize that. But at that point, when I saw the reality, I couldn't unsee it. And that made me again tell them to apply for me, but this time I told them with certainty, but also I gave them a deadline. I told them to apply within 2 days, and I was so serious with that even surprised myself. But once and forever, I had to make sure that they do their own job. After 2 days, I again called them and I asked them if they applied or not, and finally they said that they applied for me. And they said it like they had done something special, while in the reality, they just did the bare minimum of our contract. So because I couldn't trust them anymore, I told them to give me proof, and I only believed it when I saw the screenshot of my application and the email and everything. After that, I had to still wait for the university to answer me and see if they accept my application or not. I had to just wait and I couldn't do anything about it, so I just waited. But because I knew that soon I'm gonna move abroad, I decided to start getting ready by getting my stuff ready and also by doing and finishing all of my unfinished businesses. After just a week that I finished writing the third draft of my first book, I decided to print it down. I printed it out and completely ready as a proof that I do whatever I put my mind into. And honestly, because I love reading it over and over. But still, I had a long to-do list that I had to go through them one by one. I had to get my driving license, I had to write my second book, and most of all, I had to focus on my channels and grow them finally. Before I moved to Thailand, I wanted to grow them so then I could go and focus on studying other than focusing on my channels. It was what I would think in that time. But that long to-do list almost overwhelmed me and I wanted to escape. But you know that on 2025, I wanted to step out of my comfort zone, so I decided to go through it even though I was scared. I decided to start by the very first thing that I needed to do, and I was procrastinating it for a long time, which was taking the driving exam and finally getting my driving license after almost a year passing from my driving classes. Between you and I had already taken my driving exam 2 times and I failed both times because I couldn't trust myself with my driving skill. While in normal situations I could drive busy streets like very easily, but when the name of exam would come over it, I would panic and I would feel like I cannot drive that good to pass the exam. So I was feeling like I don't want my driving license, I would never get it and I don't need it. Until one night I had a dream. In my dream I was driving my own car. I don't remember where I was going, but I remember that I was driving my car and it felt so good. The feeling that I'm in control and I can go wherever I want as long as I drive the car. And by the way, my car was G-Class in my dream, which is my favorite car. And it was so vivid that the morning that I woke up, I immediately signed up for taking the exam again. First of all, because of the great feeling of that dream. And I realized that if I want to get my favorite cars in the future, I want to drive them actually. I don't want to just get them and wait for someone else to drive it for me. So I signed up for the driving exam. This time I was so confident and I was like, I'm gonna go and nail it. But this confidence lasted until the night before my exam. And as the night before exam came, I was getting insecure because something about exam nights is that I get so nervous and I try not to look nervous, and that adds up to it because I want to look confident, but inside I'm feeling nervous and stressed. But this time I really wanted to pass that exam, so I didn't want to let the fear stop me from that. I picked up my journal, which I was writing in that time, and I started writing about my feelings in it. I wrote and wrote until I got to the main reason why I was even scared in the first place. I was scared of failing, not because of myself, but because of what would other people say and do. And that was shocking for me because for a long time I was like, no, I don't care about other people's opinion. But then I was pushing one of my dreams away because of other people's opinion. I didn't do anything about it that night. I just realized it and I slept with that realization. But when I learned about it and before even fixing it, I could sleep so well that night. And it was surprising for me because I've never slept that peacefully in exam nights, in none of them. The morning after that, I got up right on time and we went to the exam area with my mom. It was a hot summer day and I was melting down, so I was wishing to take that exam immediately and get back home as soon as possible. But when I got to the exam area, I realized that there is a long line waiting for their exam and my name was at the end of the list. But fortunately, I could stay in the car with my mom and I could scroll TikTok trying to find the next book I wanted to read. Which, by the way, no matter how much I tried, I couldn't find it, but that's not the point. Unlike the last 2 times, the officer who was taking the exam was a little grumpy, and by little I mean a lot. He failed all of the applicants that took the exam before me until finally it was my turn to take the exam. Or if I say better, it was my turn in my group. He picked a group of us and told us to wait until we get to the car and we take the exam. And the funny thing is that every group would be only 4 people, and we went there and I realized that we were 5 people there, which meant that one of us had to wait and someone else was trying to get to the group to get it faster. When we were waiting for our turn, they were all gathering and speaking and talking about their stress, but that time I knew that if I go and talk to them, I would get stressed more. And because of that, I put on my headphones and I listened to a song that made me confident, which the name of it was also Confidence by one of my favorite Persian rappers. And I relaxed my mind without caring about where I really was. Until the officer came after us and wanted to pick all of us up, and he realized that there are 5 of us. Before I get to the car, I realized that all of them are getting into the car and I'm the last person. The officer was almost getting back to the car that I told him that, hey, I'm here and I was supposed to take the exam right now. He checked the list and he realized that, yeah, I'm the one who have to be in the car instead of that someone that wanted to get into the car sooner. So he told her to leave the car and I took her place, which was my place at first. And it was huge for me because I stood up for myself and I didn't let someone else taking my place. When we got to the car, I was the last person who had to take the exam. So I saw all the other 3 people taking the exam and failing one by one until it got my turn. The last person before me left the car near the column that if I would start the car, it would definitely crash the car. But unlike my situation, I wasn't afraid. First of all, because I was trusting myself after everything I done that day. And second of all, because the sound of my favorite rapper was echoing in my head that she's confidence, yeah. But I was also aware of the reality that that officer would fail me easily. And I think that he was actually waiting for me to make the simplest mistake to fail me immediately. So for the next 5 minutes of my exam, I turned into the most focused driver in the world. And I wasn't even hearing the sound of the officer as much as I was focused on the driving itself. After 5 minutes, surprising for everyone, especially that officer, I passed the test. And I could see that he is so annoyed that I passed the exam, but I grinned widely and I took my license. And I didn't even care about all of the people who were saying that, oh my god, you passed the exam. As I was looking at my mom sitting in the car and I was waving at her that, hey, I passed the exam, and I was so happy about it, yeah. I was literally shaking with excitement because I proved myself to the only person who matters, not to the grumpy officer, but to myself. After I got my driving license, I still had so many things going on with my life, including writing my book and making content and trying to grow my channels. Which, as always, I overworked myself and I burnt out. But this time my burnt out wasn't like, oh my god, I don't have the motivation to work, or oh, I'm exhausted. No, actually, I got sick. I got sick so bad that I couldn't even leave my bed without the risk of falling on the floor. It was horrible, but still, I was trying to get up and do something because I couldn't sit in that sickness. And more than my health, I was furious of all of my plan that I had to postpone them. I tried so hard to get back on track, and with my parents' care, I finally got healed and I could work again after almost a week of being sick. This time I wanted to work with a structure, and for the first time, I decided to talk with ChatGPT. In that time, I could only talk with Gemini because we didn't have the access to talk to ChatGPT in Iran. But then I finally realized that we have the access because I was familiar with it and I was excited to talk with it. So I started talking with ChatGPT, and the very first question I asked was, how can I grow my channel in 30 days? As always, like 30 days is a magical number that I need to grow my channel with it every single time. I got the plan and I was amazed of how personal it was and how amazing it was. So I printed it out, and the moment I printed it out, I forgot about it. And I just kept creating my content the way I wanted without following that plan. Meanwhile, I was also waiting for my university to answer me and answer my application. And after waiting for a month, I was getting bored. And always, boredom leads to great new ideas. In that time, I was watching Friends, as always. It was the 5th time that I was watching it. But I couldn't help but think that how amazing would it be to watch a real life series, like a storytelling series, that would be my comfort show. I went through all of my content and all of my videos, and I realized that my videos are filled with aesthetic pictures other than stories. So the idea came to my mind that what if I start a real life series? Because I had no idea how would it work, I set my camera and I started recording nonsense. Just myself walking around my room and doing nothing. But that was just the beginning of the idea. And even though I had no idea what should I do, I was excited about it. So again, I asked ChatGPT to give me a plan to grow my channels. Because when I thought that I want to make this series, I thought that first I should grow my channels. I thought that I should first have a big audience and then start making this series and publish it. So again, I got a 30 days plan, but this time I decided to actually stick to it. Based on my plan, I had to post 3 times a day on my book talk, and because of that, I was really putting my effort on it. I recorded so many videos and I edited them, and then I started posting them 3 times a day. As I was also writing the first draft of my second book, I wanted to keep myself consistent like the first book, so I started my next 30 days writing challenge. Everything was going well. I was on track with my content, with my book, and I was also dreaming about my future series and trying to find the idea how to make it. The only missing part was the news of my university, and I was waiting for it 24/7, checking my emails and messaging my agents every few days to make sure that this time I'm their priority and they don't waste my time anymore. I was waiting a little impatiently, but still I was waiting until it was June 13th. It was Friday, which in Iran that's the weekend. On Thursday night I had slept late because I was planning my content and also because of my weekend night routine, which always includes putting on face mask and watching something cozy. On Friday morning, my mom woke me up way too early, which was surprising for me. I was kind of mad because my sleep was interrupted and I was already grumpy when I woke up. But then my mom told me that they have a news for me and she told me to go have a breakfast with them immediately. As I thought that the news would be Bangkok University accepting my application, I got up despite my grumpiness. I washed my face and dressed up, and at one point I wanted to even record myself when my mom told me that news. But then I figured that if that news is that big, they would record it themselves. So I just went to have breakfast with them and get the news. But when I got to our living room, I got the worst news of my life that I couldn't believe it, and it changed my life forever. The summer of 2025, we had so many power outages, and almost every other day we had power outage for 2 hours straight. It would usually happen during the day, and I was already frustrated because of that, because right when I wanted to do my work or when I wanted to do something, the power would just go out. But I was living with it, and in the most painful way, I was getting used to it. Until one night I was brushing my teeth, getting ready to go to sleep, and then suddenly the power just went out. It was blackout, and my room was so dark already with all of the dark wallpapers, and also the fact that my room was underground and I didn't have even the moonlight. So I was just standing in darkness without a flicker of light. I couldn't see anything, I couldn't hear anything, and it was so scary. I was so scared that I couldn't move for a few seconds. And funnily enough, even my phone wasn't around and I had to go and find it. So I touched the walls and I found my way through my room, which I could easily fall or anything, but I found my way until I found my phone and I could turn on its light and see my surrounding. I think it took me only a few moments, but it passed for me like forever. And when I got to my phone, I could burst into cry from happiness. But crazily enough, right after that, this thought came to my mind, that my situation in those moments could be a metaphor for when you're pursuing a goal and you don't know where you are, you don't know if you're doing the right thing, if you're in the right path, and you're in the middle of the darkness and you can fall at any point. But you keep going until you open your eyes and you find yourself in the right place. And when the light comes, you can see that you're exactly where you meant to be. So beside the fear and anger, that night also stayed in my mind as a reminder that even if you're in the darkness, still keep going until you find the light and find out that you're in the right place. Because by staying in the darkness and not moving, you don't risk falling, but you risk staying in the darkness forever.